Hello, Chef Krista Van Wagner, and I'd like to welcome you to my kitchen. Today I wanted to share a biscuit recipe with you. It's that time of the year. There's strawberries, they're ready to be picked, so go out and get them. There's nothing like fresh picked strawberries. Plus it's a family thing, so get the kids out and about and go pick them. So this biscuit recipe I've researched, and I want to give a shout out to Carla Hall. Carla Hall's the chef from the Chew. Her recipe was amazing. I might have tweaked a couple things, but I'm going to tell you right now, I am so proud to share this with you, and this is after researching multiple YouTube videos out there with biscuit recipes, because I want the very best for the berries that I went and picked. Here we go. Are you ready? Let's talk about the flour. Okay, now I want to let you know that you need 2.5 cups of flour. You need 1 tablespoon of granulated sugar, 1 teaspoon of salt, kosher salt I use. You can use the sea salt, half a teaspoon of baking soda, and 1 tablespoon of baking powder, 2 tablespoons of shortening, and I got hiding back here, love you, Carla, 8 tablespoons of butter, which I just pulled out of the freezer, and we're going to grate. This recipe, it reminded me of being back in culinary school. The little bit extra that was done in here to achieve layers, the education in Carla's recipe as far as freezing the butter, putting it in flour and grating it was so exciting. I have these hands and I want to show you that food is love. So I'm going to put some love into this magical ingredients around me. I did forget 1.5 cups of buttermilk. I didn't have buttermilk. I'm so sorry. What I used was half and half, 3/4 of a cup, and 3/4 of a cup of sour cream. Use what you have, and thanks for that tip, Carla. So here we go. Let's get started. Now, first, I did learn when using and measuring out your flour, we in the restaurants we weigh. We use scales. Okay, so we don't have that at home. I don't even have it here. They're at work. But this is a dry measuring cup. So I want you to get a dry measuring cup, and I want you to just fill it like so, but don't tap it to settle it. Take your spatula and just push the excess in. So that's a tip I learned. So I have 2.5 cups, okay? And that same thing with that half cupper, okay? Promise me you'll use dry measuring cup. There is a difference between dry and liquid, okay? You really got to be precise for this biscuit recipe, or anytime when you're baking. Now what I'm going to do, I didn't sift it, so I'm just going to add a little bit of air to it right now. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm adding my sugar and 1 teaspoon of salt. And I'm making it level. There we go. I have a half a teaspoon of baking soda and 1 tablespoon of baking powder. Okay, so let's whisk all that in. I can finish with this salt, thank you, shortening we have to talk about. So here we go. I want to completely mix this. I had heard someone had said if you're not mixing your ingredients into your flour, you might have seen a cake that you baked once and it wasn't level. So this, we're lifting up the flour, kind of like we're sifting, I feel, and we're properly mixing in all those dry ingredients. So don't skip this step, all right? I think that feels good. I'm happy with that. We're finished. Now what we're going to do with our 2 tablespoons of butter, you can go ahead and put gloves on if you so want, but what I want to do is I want to coat each bit of this flour with this shortening, okay? I want to coat it. I don't want any large pieces of shortening. Interesting that we're using the shortening and the butter. That's what I liked best about this, because I understand shortening, and I like the fact that it makes things stay fresher longer, and there's just something about it. So now I'm kind of rubbing it. I want to get each bit of that shortening. I'm coating each granular, microscopic granular flour with it. Interesting, isn't that interesting? All right, that looks great. Okay, so what do we have in here? We've got leavening, right? I used an all-purpose unleavened flour. That would make a difference before adding all that leavening with the baking soda and the baking powder. That's what self-rising flours are, is they incorporate baking powder. So this is unleavened, unbleached, regular flour, and I added that leavening into it. I think that looks good. Wait, do I see one piece? We're putting our love into it. I always tell the students, this is what you let the kids do. Get their hands into it. God gave me these first before he gave me spatulas and whips and all that kind of things. Okay, I think that's great. Now what we're going to do is we are going to grate our flour into the butter. And I'm doing this by hand. It's going to take a little time, so just have some patience. Let's coat this in the flour. I love that idea. Wow. So that's it. And we'll do that occasionally. I'm just going to put this right in here. And here we go. So now is when you sing a song, do a dance. We're going to do this as quickly as we can. Okay, and I'm going to be turning it as I go and reflouring it. Remember how warm your hands are, I'm not as hot as some people are, but you ever just touch someone and they radiate heat? Okay, now I'm just going to lightly toss that. I don't want it to stick together. Make sure we're coating all that with flour. Kind of feel what we're doing here. You may ask, what's going on here? Why am I putting so much effort into this? These little bits of butter have moisture in them. And what happens is while it's baking in the oven at 400 degrees, the bits of moisture are released and it leaves little air pockets. So that's what makes it flaky. Okay, there we go. So we're almost there. Now I know patience is a virtue and I'm going to get every bit of this. I'm not tall enough, so let me get taller. You got to really get up on things. See the difference? Oh my gosh, so much quicker. I want it all coated with flour. I'm just about ready, boy. I'm almost exhausted. Maybe I should have used the food processor. Nah, I think half the fun is this is just this new method I learned. Because I can, as a chef baking, I can visualize what's happening and I can understand this technique. That's why I fell so in love with it. Okay, now, I had saw a method. It's called the windshield wiper method, where you just take your thumbs and you're throwing them along your hands, kind of like a windshield wiper. Can you kind of see what I'm doing? That's the wiper technique. Look at that. I don't want to work this too much. Got to get every bit of it though. All right. Now this comes together much quicker by grating it. So this is almost done. Every bit of that butter is coated with flour. We're going to make a well. All right. So remember, I didn't have buttermilk, but I wanted that acidity from the buttermilk, so that's why I used that sour cream. Great advice. Now don't add all of this. I kind of made a little well. I'm going to add probably 80% of it. The reason being is flour, I don't know the moisture of your flour content. I don't know when you bought it. I don't know if you left it open. A lot of your moisture would have went right up in the air, right? So your flour is drier. Other people got a bag of fresh flour and there's a lot of moisture in there. So everyone's flour is different. And look at that. I should be using, and I'm going to pull it out, and I apologize for this. Everyone makes mistakes. So can you let me wash my hands for a second? Okay, this is what I saw that Carla used. And it's probably a better way of doing it because your hands are warm. I had never seen anyone use a spatula. I've got my hands in everything I do. So let's use a spatula. My mistake. I'm going to add just a little bit more. It looks dry. You want it moist. You want it really soft. We can work more flour into it when we put it on our board. Okay? But with each stroke I do, I'm counting because I don't want to overmix it. There we go. Tender. I want it to be tender. All right, it looks like my flour was really dry. I'll leave that over there. And this is ready. How's that look? I just want it to look a little moister than I would think it should look. strawberries. You can make this biscuit recipe for, gosh, any sort of fresh fruit that's in season. This is all summer. And bake these fresh. You can leave the dough in the fridge overnight, make these up and pop them fresh in the morning if you want them for breakfast. All right, here we go. Let me prepare my board now. I got my nice wooden cutting board here. And I'd like to ask, if you don't have a cutter, I just used a tin can. I was making coconut rice and beans the other day and from my coconut milk. So just open both sides and clean it up and get that ready to go. Get rid of this excess, if I may. And I am going to brush this cutting board with just a bit of oil, like so. I'm going to rub that in. My board always needs a little oil, and should make sure you do this at least once a week with these nice wooden boards. Okay, I just have canola oil here that I put down, and let's put some flour on it. Okay, that looks good. We don't need too much flour. Wow, it's just so organized, this recipe. I just cannot believe I'm going to be eating biscuits this evening with fresh berries. Okay, that's wet. Now is when I can get my hands in it. Okay, guys? Here we go. That looks good. Just going to put my hands in a little bit of flour. Now it won't stick to them. And we are just going to pat. Make sure nothing sticks. A little more flour. Pardon me. There we go. Feels good. Feels real good. Now what we are going to do is, I had talked to you about that threefold method. I just want to make sure it's not too floury, but we are going to do the threefold method. So, say I wrote a beautiful love letter to somebody, right? And I'm going to divide this in three. One. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. I'm going to take this side, I'm going to fold it over, I'm going to take this side and fold it over, and then you take that letter, put it in the envelope, okay? Go write someone a letter. So that's the threefold method. I'm not going to do it anymore. I think we're going to have enough layers, and I'm really feeling that this is a beautiful dough. So let's bring it out. 3/4 of an inch is good. I forgot my ruler. So get a ruler and actually measure it, all right? Because I want them to be. Now, if you want them thinner, you can go ahead and do a 1/2 inch. That's absolutely up to you. What is your preparation? What are you serving it with? Those are my questions. Okay, so I'm feeling, if I had a ruler, I'd feel better because I could prove it to you. But I'm feeling good about this. Really good about it. Let's see. Make sure I can get 2. Got to go a little wider. I got to get enough for a snack in the morning. I think I'll make like a breakfast sandwich with it. With eggs and peanut bacon and some cheddar cheese. Oh, gosh. Biscuits. Okay. 1, 2. Okay, we'll get 8. Let me wash my hands. We have to butter our pan. If you want a good crispy biscuit, you can separate them. Don't use any parchment paper for this at all. I want it directly on the sheet pan. Butter it. And that I have right here. Ready to go? No, I don't. I don't have it ready to go. I just got my butter here. There we go. Always imparting flavor, aren't we? Of course, you can use Crisco if you want, but let's use butter. Let's impart that flavor. And my oven is at 400. We're just going to pop these out. And let's get going. That won't stick. I feel good about it. How about you? Okay, here we go. The one thing nice about not having the top here is there's no suction, and that's why it might be a little bit difficult for you. The side that you had on the cutting board, I want you to flip over. I want that side to be exposed. Okay, there we go. And flip it around, all right? Wow, I got some good biscuits here. I'm going to make some fresh whipped cream with some vanilla from the Dominican Republic. And whip your own. Don't buy that jar. Go ahead and get some fresh whipped cream and get the kids with a whip and have them whip it by hand. Okay, here we go. Now, if you wanted them, some people like them crispy all around. I do. So I'm separating them on the pan. if you would like, you can put them all together, and then they'll bake all as one, and that won't be so crispy. But for our biscuits with the strawberries, I'm going to have nice crispy outside. So this is leftover. This is going to be for me in the morning. I'm going to make these into biscuits for breakfast. Okay, so I'm just going to wrap that up. I'm going to put that away in my fridge. We're ready. Let's get these in the oven. I had a little bit of that sour cream and that half and half mixture left. So I'm just going to brush the tops of our biscuits. We're going to bake these about 16 minutes, turning it halfway in between cooking time. So set your timer for 8 minutes and spin it, because everyone's oven cooks so different. We're going to do 450 degrees. And that is going to fluff these up. It'll be beautiful. Let's just pop that in. All right, while our biscuits are in the oven, let's get our strawberries ready. As you can see, actually, I got these from a friend. So I just want to let you know, this friend really went out of their way and got the stems off and everything for me. I'm just going to leave them whole. So let's go. These were picked fresh just the other day. I'm so happy. And I'm just going to add just a sprinkle of granulated sugar. And that's it. All right. We're going to toss these in that sugar and just let it sit. And the sugar will dissolve and it will create a sauce, and it does it all by itself. Nothing more to do. Do this in the morning. Store it in the fridge. All right. Whipped cream. I told you, please do me a favor and do fresh whipped cream for these, because it really rocks it. I have a little whisk here, so I don't have to do it by hand, but give the kids a whisk and have them whip. It's a lesson in how you make butter, okay? Because that's what butter's made out of, is heavy cream. So I'm going to sweeten this, but very, very, very little, okay? I'm just put it, there's my cream, okay, I'm all set there, and just a little bit of powdered sugar. Oh, and I mentioned to you about the vanilla. So I am going to get that. So I'd say that's enough. That was like a tablespoon. Let me just get that vanilla for you. This is a white vanilla, so it won't change the color of our whipped cream. I do recommend that you use that. So let's just give it a dab, and that'll just be better than any bottle or jar of whipped cream that you ever bought. So this is my emulsion blender. I use it when making soup. Okay. There we go. There we go. So if I continued, we would have butter. Share that with the kids, but there we go. Look at how beautiful that is. I don't over whip mine too much. I like a dollop. I don't want it too whipped. And let me just taste it. I know it's not too sweet. Those biscuits will be ready in a minute. Perfect. The vanilla just takes me to another place. That's all I have to say. I'm smelling something good. I'm smelling something beautiful. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Perfect, perfect. Perfect golden brown. Let me show you. Oh, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? You can see how they leavened beautifully. That was because of our fold that we did. So let's present. We've got our strawberries. So I'm going to place some on the plate. Like so. All that sugar's dissolved. I think that's awesome. Okay, I need one more. Okay, that's good. And let me just grab my biscuit, cut it in half. I should let it chill just for a minute, but let's go. There we go. Oh, this is so fun. So we have a biscuit. And let's put some more berries. Wow, you can see the steam coming off. There's nothing better in the world than a hot biscuit. And tomorrow morning, I'm having a biscuit sandwich. Okay, so I'm going to pop this with some cream. Look at that. Now that is a dollop. Do you see how it's got that, just that little dollop there? I just don't want you to over whip it. Okay, I think that'll work. That looks good to me. Whoa, I'm happy. Happy as a clam. I've got some strawberry sauce. That was just some of the strawberries that I put in the food processor because I love sauce. I think everyone I know loves sauce. I'm going to do the dollop one more time, just a little bit. And how about we garnish it with some fresh mint? Check it out. Somebody is going to love me today because of this. And I cannot wait to share. Whoa, there we go. Whoa, baby. That just fell right down because it's so warm. But that's okay. I caught it. And I'll just cover it up with the powdered sugar. Well, what are we talking about here? We're talking about biscuits. And I think, wait, my mince got to be exposed here. I'll just do one. As it's falling off. How's that? That's good. That's perfect. I look forward to joining you again. Please follow me on Facebook. And I'll be doing some more fun seasonal recipes. I just lost that dollop again. I'm sorry. I have to fix that. I'm going to do that because it'll drive me mad if I don't. So there we go. Put some love in the kitchen. Bring the family together. Bring them around the table where that love and that conversation never ends. If you like this recipe, the biscuits and the strawberries, let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to connect with me out of the kitchen, follow me on the links that are listed below. And always remember that food is love, and I look forward to seeing you again. Thank you so much. Ciao.